Westu Halmin Freyon and welcome to yet another video. The Lords of the Shield Media are posting articles again about the Soy Boys, the Lords of the Hack. Well, nowhere near the Lord of the Rings, of course. We are talking about the Rings of Power after all. Welcome, my dear friends, and look at the screen, please. Let us look at one more article by Screen Rant, which says, How Rings of Power Season 2 will be impacted by fan response to Season 1. Not a single bit, I will tell you, but we will get to that later. But first, we all know, my dear friends, that The Rings of Power is an absolute disaster, and it has been acknowledged by both fans of the source material, the books written by Professor Tolkien, and normies, people who have never read a single book written by the Professor, because the show, if we look past the absence of any lore or legendarium that would be included in The Rings of Power, that would be adapted in it, the show is just poorly made, and we know that. Please feel free to check out my reviews of the individual episodes if you haven't done so already, and I have called it out. I have predicted it. A long time ago I predicted it, even before the show came out. I said that there is no chance that in 2020 or 2022 there would be a film-making company that would honor the source material and that would be able to adapt the works of Professor Tolkien faithfully. And why? Well, because simply it is not possible today. The Lord of the Rings is too much of a conservative, traditional, old-fashioned story based on the good old values that Professor held close to his heart. And once again, feel free to check out my other videos on Professor's Legendarium if you haven't done so already. So the final result is what? A show that is 100% constructed by Prime Video, by the showrunners and the screenwriters and all the hacks involved in it, and a show that is very poorly made, with cringy dialogue, awesomely huge plot holes, and constructed legends that have got nothing to do with Professor Tolkien, such as the origin of Mithril. What the heck was that? Well then, never mind, what did you expect? They only have the rights to adapt the appendices to The Lord of the Rings, a chapter worth of notes that were added to the end of the book. They can't touch the Silmarillion, they can't touch the Unfinished Tales, they can't touch the history of Middle-earth, the awesome 3 volumes that were published by Tolkien's son Christopher. And of course, there has been backlash, huge backlash since fans. I have never seen anything like it. Now, of course, we have been fighting this culture war for years. Let's look at Star Wars and Star Trek, and Doctor Who, Marvel and DC Comics, but there have never been so many people united against vile corporations that are taking good stories, people like to call them franchises or IPs, and crapping on them. There have never been so many people united in defending these stories, and my channel is 100% devoted to defending them, pointing out, calling out the bullshit that these shield media are trying to cram in front of our eyes. So, let us check out what does J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, what they say about the constructive criticism that we have had. Of course, we have been labeled istophobes because we don't like the show. And are they going to fix it in Season 2? And by the way, I have also covered this in my previous videos. Apparently, there's a rumor that those two guys should be sidelined come Season 2. They should be put on the bench and not being involved as much as they have been so far. So we shall see. So let us dive in. How Rings of Power Season 2 will be impacted by fan response to Season 1. The Rings of Power showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have stated that they're listening to fan feedback, but it won't change Season 2's plans. The Lord of the Rings of Power showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have revealed how Rings of Power Season 2 will be impacted by fan feedback of Season 1. The Rings of Power Season 1 has garnered a sizable number of viewers who have enjoyed the show's version of the second age of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth. Well, paid critics and shills, people who are who are going out of their way to lick Amazon's boots for what? For clout, attention? I don't think that for money. But every single person in the world who's got a little bit of brains in their cranium knows that the show sucks. People who are enthralled by the show have discussed everything from fan theories about the stranger's identity to their own shaken responses at the reveal that Halbrand is Sauron. We weren't shaken, since we had known that Halbrand was Sauron for a long time before it was, quote, revealed, unquote, thanks to genuine fans and people who have got contacts on the inside of Prime Video, thanks to YouTubers and influencers who are not shilling to Amazon and who are staying true to the good old stories. The series has also done well critically, with season 1 holding an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes at the time of writing and about 38 to 39% audience score. They somehow, for some reason, forgotten to mention that. However, decisions made throughout the Rings of Power's production and during season 1 have resulted in some negative responses to the series. While some criticism came in the form of there we go. You are an Istophobe. You don't like the story. You don't like the show. You are an Istophobe. Backlash against casting, actors and elves and half-orcs. Hardcore Tolkien fans were also upset at character design inaccuracies, such as portraying female dwarves like Durin's wife Disa without beards. Now, you are really avoiding the main problems here. The main problems. The first one is the show is shit, objectively, and the second one, the show has got nothing to do with Tolkien. These two things, and somehow you're not talking about them. Why? One wonders, right? Well, not really. Structural decisions for the series were also called into question by fans, with the Rings of Power showrunners responding to pacing critiques that claimed the show's first season was too slow. While the show has a sizable number of people that enjoy it, there are still viewers who feel as if there are areas in the series could improve upon. Now, I mean, tell me you are taking the huge Amazon's D from behind without telling me you are taking huge Amazon's D from behind, Screen Rant. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Payne and McKay addressed how fan responses to The Lord of the Rings of Power Season 1 would impact Season 2. The showrunners revealed Season 2 was already planned out before Season 1 aired, and that while they are listening to responses to the show, it won't have a major impact on how Season 2 plays out. Check out Payne and McKay's full statements below. Payne: in terms of how it's impacted Season 2, we wrote most of Season 2 before Season 1 came out. We're refining the last bits of it now as we're starting to shoot, but really the cake was kind of baked before the audience response came in. Certainly, you look at audience response and you see what characters people love, what kinds of storytelling moves them. I wouldn't say we're overcorrecting for any of it, but we're certainly listening to people's responses. McKay: we are in this for the long game. Oh no. This show is a life project for us. Well then, son, you have messed up a life project of yours. How does it feel? We are married to it, and the bar couldn't possibly be higher for what we want to achieve. Our blood, sweat and tears are going into this every waking moment of our lives. We want this thing to be delightful and emotional, exciting and thrilling and surprising and heartbreaking and romantic and all the things you want from Lord of the Rings. And yet it is none of it. So I think in some ways the audience response, we are a year ahead of that because we saw it a year ago, and we're like, here it's really seeming to work, and here it's maybe not working as well as we might have hoped or thought it would. So to the extent there's a course correction, it's just as us building on the strengths of the show and on the strengths of our actors and our designers. And then Screen Rant proceeds. Rings of Power Season 2 won't address all fan complaints. And that's a good thing. One of those popular sentences. And that's a good thing. Yeah, sure. It's absolutely blast. This isn't the first time Payne and McKay have responded to the idea of fan criticism shaping the Rings of Power Season 2. In October, the showrunners said Rings of Power would not be impacted by fan feedback, while Payne's latest statement hints that some feedback is now being considered. McKay points out that a lot of changes to Season 2 will still be originating from what the showrunners learned during production of Season 1. It's currently unknown how the Rings of Power Season 2 will differ from Season 1. Well, it might be even worse. That's how it might differ. But it's possible audience complaints like pacing and lore accuracy could be addressed. However, it's clear from Payne and McKay's statements that they have a specific vision for the Rings of Power, something that isn't going to be influenced by audience criticisms. Instead, it appears the duo will be improving Season 2 by looking at the source material, having teased a more canon-focused Rings of Power Season 2 that's more in line with Tolkien's Second Age writings. The way you have established your world, there is no saving. There is no chance, zero chance of you saving it, dear Patrick and JD. But with the original characters like the corrupted elf Adar to use in their story, Payne and McKay will still have plenty of surprises in store for excited viewers. While the Rings of Power Season 2 won't be addressing every fan complaint, Payne and McKay's vision for the show's story seems like it will continue evolving from their own experiences behind the scenes. I call bullshit on everything. They will not address any criticism. It will not look deeper into the lore. It will not be better. If anything, it will be much, much worse. And believe me, I have been right before, and I'm always right about the Rings of Power. You know that. If you've been following my channel for some time, you know I'm always right about the Rings of Power, and I can say that. Alright, let me know in the comments down below what you think, and that will be all. Thank you very much for watching, and Namarie.